Now, what if you find yourself in a loving relationship with someone and you just click with them, you connect with them, like we described last week, on a mental level, on an emotional level, and certainly on an energetic, physical level, there's chemistry there. And maybe you found that out just by holding hands with them and walking in the park. Maybe you went swimming with them, or you started wrestling, or you danced with them. That's one of the beautiful things about dancing, is that real dancing is that you can immediately determine whether you have sexual compatibility with someone. It's if you know what you're doing, if you know how to dance, and if you're not awkward and worried and afraid and shy and all these other things. But if you're with the right person, you won't be that. It'll be like putting on an old, well-worn slipper, or your favorite sweater. When you meet the right person, it's that kind of a feeling. Yes, there might be sparks and excitement and jubilation and all kinds of other things. So maybe it's like you found your favorite sweater that had been lost for 10 years, and you found it. You thought it was lost forever, but now you found it. So when you meet someone like that and you have all these affinities, and you recognize that you belong together, how do you proceed? Practically speaking, well, we're not going to give a lesson on the birds and the bees here, because everyone should know about the basic mechanics. But if what we are talking about is uniting with another monad, with another soul, another human being, for the sake of the creation of our higher selves, then the sanctity of the act is one we should pay special attention to and pay more than just lip service to. So we can begin by preparing ourselves mentally, emotionally, but also physically. You may wish to take a shower. You may wish to feel yourself as clean as you can make yourself. You may wish to not just take a shower, but put on some beautiful but mild perfume or cologne. Not overpowering, but just use some scented oil, use some essential oil. You may wish to anoint yourself in that way. And there's no particular substance here that we're talking about. There's no formula here. There's no recipe book. This is something that you decide. You decide and imagine yourself stepping into a temple of love in the ancient world during the Golden Age. And you and your spouse-to-be have traveled hundreds of miles potentially to this temple dedicated to the Divine Mother, to learn the practices that what we've been talking about today, and what we are talking about, what we are getting into. So how would you want to prepare yourself for this, what is the highest yoga, the highest form of yoga there is, the highest practice, the highest rite, the highest ritual there is? This is, let's face it, all the social trappings of marriage aside, and weddings and all that stuff aside. No, the union between man and woman, that's what the real bonds of marriage are. And what's more is, as we described, we're talking about reuniting the divine feminine with the divine masculine, Devi Kundalini Shakti and her husband, the Holy Spirit, to give rise to the fire of fires and light of lights. This is mythological in scope and scale. How do you wish to prepare yourself for that? For our part, it's actually something that we picked up in Japan. In Japan, it's a cultural thing that before two people make love, they shower. Now, Japan is a country of hypochondriacs, but it's actually can be quite a pleasant experience to shower with your lover and prepare for a sacred union through a shared act of cleansing and washing away all the cares and the troubles and all of the dirt and the grime and the negativity and everything that's been accumulating on you during the day, or wherever you've been. Or maybe you spent the day together, maybe you went to a party or a dance or whatever, and you're hot and you're sweaty and you're all these other things. It's actual cleansing, and doing that in a very tender and loving, and let's be honest, an erotic way can prepare a couple in multiple different ways. But there's that element of cleansing and preparing oneself mentally and emotionally for a truly sacred act in a truly sacred space. Jennifer says that's called sacred marriage, hieros gamos. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. That's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about matrimony. And why not try to make it the perfect matrimony? As Master Samael, his first book was entitled that. So you've cleansed yourself, your physical temple. Now, what about your temple, the sacred bedchamber? The first thing that comes to mind is light. Light a candle, just one, if nothing else. You don't have to fill the bedroom with 1,000 candles. It's not the Phantom of the Opera. But if you want to have more candles, light more candles. This is your temple. This is your sacred act, remember. You are the priestess or the priest. We're not making that up. That's not hyperbole. This is a fact. This is the origin of priest and priestess in religion and all spirituality. The priest husband and his priestess wife who engage in the highest, most important, most sacred rite and ritual that exists, period. End of story. Nothing else comes close. Nothing. So you, the priestess, and you, your priestess wife, or you, the priest and priestess, and your wife and or husband, is one of you responsible for lighting the candles, and the other one is responsible for, oh, I don't know, choosing the music, or lighting the incense, or putting the drops of essential oil into the diffuser, or cutting the cut flowers and arranging them in vases? What are all the ways that you, as priest and priestess, can illuminate and heighten the level of love in the air, in your sacred space, in the bedchamber? You will want to make sure that the sheets are clean, that they've been laundered recently, that the bed is made, that the bed is inviting. And, when it comes to sensuality and, there is any number of activities that the priest and priestess can engage in, obviously, prior to engaging in the actual act. There's sensual massage, there's obviously kissing and caressing and all the other things that, again, I don't think we need to instruct you on any of that. But what you may not have ever thought about or performed together as part of your sexual union with someone is prayer and meditation, mantralization, giving thanks, giving tribute to your Divine Mother. It is a very interesting phenomenon when the first time we engaged in White Tantra, when we led the prayer, that we had never, we just knew, and we knew spontaneously what to say. It just came up from us. And we led our partner, and we would say a line of the prayer and then she would repeat it. And something like, we're paraphrasing here, Holy Blessed Divine Mother, and then she would repeat. So if you hear us saying pauses, it's because we're giving time for our partner to repeat. You want to say prayers together, but that's not memorize something and say it together. So holy, holy, precious Divine Mother, Kundalini Shakti, we thank you for this grace, for this opportunity to work with your sacred waters and sacred fires. Rise, Mystic Mother. Rise from your den in the Muladhara chakra. Rise up the Shushumna canal of the spinal medulla, illuminating all of our chakras along the way. And unite with your husband, the Holy Spirit, in the crown chakra. And awaken us, enlighten us, enliven us, illuminate us. And so that your sacred fires can unite with his sacred fires and give rise to the fire of fires and the light of lights of the cosmic Christ. But it doesn't have to be those words. You also have the Our Father. You also have the Hail Mary, which you can say together if you both have them memorized. And when would you say this? And why would you say this? During the act of coitus, especially, and the reason why the man leads this, generally speaking, is because, generally speaking, it is far easier for the man to reach orgasm than it is for a woman. And one of the things that we're going to mention here is White Tantra. We should never approach sexual alchemy with the idea that it's going to be an easy activity, because most of us have spent a lifetime conditioned and conditioning our bodies to have our sexual energy flow down and out. We've conditioned our psychology, we've conditioned our mental body, our emotional body, and our physical body to expel the sexual force, particularly men. Women as well. We say particularly men, not least because we are one, and that's our experience, but also because we know men. And it's the nature of the masculine, after all, to ejaculate as he does. And so it is not easy to modulate, maintaining arousal without going too far, and also modulating and moderating the level of arousal, the level of excitement, without going too far this way where one loses one's erection, one loses one's arousal. There's an upper limit and a lower limit, and in between there's space to play, as it were. It's like any dance, right? You can't get too excited or too over the top, because you and your partner are gonna fall on the floor. But you also can't just be a couple of loosey goosey whatever over here, because then the dance becomes flaccid and empty and lifeless. So we have to light the fire, but not allow the fire to get out of control. And we also don't want to have the fire die down. So when the fire starts getting on the big side, on the large side, and the man starts to feel himself approaching a danger zone, if you will, then it's good to slow down, not stop altogether necessarily, but slow down and then say a prayer. That's a moment of prayer, because see, you want to stoke the fires and then transmute the energy. So you're raising the energy, and then you're like skimming off the top. And then it's this continual process of stoking the fires and then transmuting. And prayer is part of that transmutation. Now, what's amazing is that you will feel this, particularly if you're a man, as you get more energized and aroused, you will feel the physiological changes and the emotional changes, the heart rate, that you are getting close. And then when you do a prayer, all of those will subside as the energy is being transmuted. Because the energy right now, let's face it, we have to be honest, it's in lust. It's in that mechanical aspect of nature. No one can deny that becoming sexually aroused is a mechanical process. No one can deny that. So the energy is bound within these sexual processes, and you have to work with the physical mechanics of lovemaking to allow the energy to bloom and blossom, so that you can then transmute it through prayer, but also through mantra.